Did you know that the equator traverses the land and territorial waters of 14 countries, and 7 of them are in Africa? Africa 54's Paul Ndiho recently went on a fact-finding mission about the force of gravity at the equator.
Uganda is one of the few countries in the world that the equator intersects. The equator crosses through Uganda approximately 72 kilometers south of Kampala, along the famous Kampala-Masaka Road. At this point, there are 2 huge circles marking the Equator Line. And if you are traveling to Masaka or Kampala, it would be wiser to stop and snap a picture. The equator is an imaginary line on the Earth's surface that runs from east to west and divides the world into the northern and southern hemisphere. Another reason the Ugandan equator stop is worthwhile is the great shopping bargains. There are several craft shops and art galleries that sell souvenirs and homemade products about the equator. But before you do the shopping, here is a simple quiz. Did you know that if you poured water in a funnel on the northern hemisphere, it runs clockwise? On the southern hemisphere, it runs anti-clockwise. And if you are right here where I'm seated on the equator, the straight line, it runs straight. The demonstration that you are about to see is one of a kind, and I bet it will blow your mind. And perhaps you will learn a few things about the forces of nature.
After pouring, the reason why I put this metal, it is just to make the water come down, to make it still, so that there is no this force of pouring. Then after making it still, I drop this flour on top to show the rotation of clockwise, as you can see. You get it? It means those who are living in the northern hemisphere, even if you flush your toilet, or when you open the plug on the sink, it will be draining that direction of clockwise. You remember being to the north, it was draining clockwise, and now we are right at the southern hemisphere side. Then it's going to change the direction and spins the other way, like anti-clockwise, as I told you. So let me pour water and we see what's going to happen. Okay. As you can see, the flower is turning anti-clockwise now. Remember, north it was clockwise. Exactly. So it means those who live in south, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Argentina, all their toilets are flushing this direction of anti-clockwise direction. And right now on the 0-degree latitude, we are on the equator line as I'm standing. So here on the equator line, you won't see any movement. It will just stay still and drop straight down. I put the flower. You can see it's not turning. It has to stay and get sucked in straight. This is caused by the Coriolis effect, or you can say the magnetic fields. When you're north, they're pulling 2 o'clock. When you're south, it's the other way around.
Interestingly, the equator is the only line of latitude which is a great circle.
On the 23rd of September, those 2 days call them equatorial equinoxes days. That's when the sun rises and sets directly above the equator line. So at midday on those 2 days, 12 noon, you won't see your shadow because the sun will be straight up.
Paul Ndiho, VOA News, Uganda.
It's not turning, it has to